Can you do that one more time, just so everyone
There
knows?
it is.
Okay.
No, I can't, because then we
Hey,
have.
folks, welcome back. And as always, it's us, the host of Soaring Profits, names below. It's been kind of a busy couple of days around here. I know for myself, especially, I've been swamped. This guy out here is putting out fantastic content about not jumping off a bridge, whether it's finances or whatever you got going on in your life. Thank God for this dude. Any of you folks that have been watching the markets right now, it's been a crazy week. Big rally today. Very briefly, I do not anticipate that that's going to be a long-term thing, but that's where we are today.
Yeah, I looked at my stuff today briefly, which I've been avoiding because it's just been a sad thing. And I was like, oh man, I'm up $1,000 already.
Right.
And then quite quickly I went down 2,000. But you know, you go with the positives, and the positives were for a brief moment I was up 1,000.
So, right. Yeah. So this week here right now we're seeing a bear rally. So that's what we do is we get these big pops up because everyone's like, oh, that's great. That's the bottom. Let's jump in with all of our money. And then it goes whoosh, and it flushes down and it's terrible and everyone drowns to death. So I don't anticipate that this week will be bad. I figured that there's some money to be made if you're looking at those options. Short term, you should be able to get in and get out on some positions. I would not hold anything long term, though. This is still very tumultuous. We've got interest rates that are coming. We've got all kinds of stuff from the Fed here. But that's not what we're talking about tonight, is it, James?
It's not what we're talking about tonight.
It's not. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is our utter and sheer disappointment.
O.J. Simpson is. Oh, no. Sorry. No.
Right. The other O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
The
Bronco.
The Ford Bronco.
Yeah, like I was all excited about the Ford Bronco. Both you and I were going to pre-order one. Yep. We saw all the commercials. If you get a chance, go watch one of those commercials. The live, they came out with a. Remember that there was like we were waiting to see it. There was like a 2-day, 48 hours. You're like, it's going to launch, and then we saw it, and both of us were sold on them.
Yeah.
And around town now, you see them everywhere. They're crap. They really portrayed them as like a off-road kind of rough and tumble kind of outbacky car, and they're just these tiny little mum vehicles.
Well, like, so there's two series. I think you've seen both now.
Yeah,
they've got the Bronco Sport, which is kind of the more mom vehicle, and that is not gender specific. We apologize. We here at Soaring Profits are.
What happened to you? Where have you been? Like I haven't talked to you in 3 days. So.
Dude, it's been a week. I'm dealing with contractors. I'm getting fences built. It's been nightmare.
Something I would have said. Like I get it. I'm not being.
Look at these eyes. Look at these eyes. They look well rested.
I won't sing for people, but so yeah, you're right. I guess I shouldn't have said that, but it does look like a mom vehicle. Come on.
You're doing it again, James. Again, hashtag Juneteenth, hashtag gay. I don't even know the acronym anymore.
So today was
LGBTQP LMNOI.
International Aboriginal Peoples Day.
Oh, just hit them all while we're here, hey bud. Just get them all.
Today was that, and I don't. Yeah, no, it's still Gay Pride Month, I believe.
The fact that you don't know that hurts my heart.
I'm not saying I don't know that. I'm saying I do know that. Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about the Bronco and the disappointment. We were really excited. Like literally, he and I were like, we're both getting one, man. Can't wait. We were talking about pre-ordering. We were trying to get to the dealership to look at them. And I'm kind of glad we didn't. I'm glad, we kind of got busy, got off onto some other things and didn't have a chance. And I think if we had pre-ordered one, we would have been very disappointed.
Now, do you think that, okay, looking back on when we were watching all of this stuff, at the time, there was not much excitement in the world. COVID had shut everything down. This was like part of COVID, right? And I was pumped. I remember sitting there and I had my daughter come over. We're sitting there watching him like, shut up. This is the next great thing. We're going to get one of these. They're going to be amazing.
They're going to be awesome. I remember we were watching it live because it was a live episode, and I believe we were messaging each other.
Right.
Did you see that?
Yeah. We were pumped. And then, so again, there appears to be two styles, right? There is the sport that has come out, which again, it seems like something that Honda would make. Like again, very, very compact, very petite, very
little.
And then
you not very off-roady like at all.
No.
Yeah. And then the sport, which was supposed to be like this, like it had everything off-road, like it was going to make the Jeep obsolete.
Right.
Was the plan, right? And just looking at it, I don't think it does. I really don't.
I think a lot of people are of the same kind of viewpoint. So I've got a couple actually in my neighborhood. A couple people have them in my neighborhood, and I've had a chance to kind of, walk the dog and get kind of close to them.
Yeah.
The finish on them is not great.
No.
Like the tops on them, unless you go with the same color body style top on them, they look very Mod Podgey put together, funny. The fit and finish, like the little gappings around everything, is not great.
It's not
even the tonneau cover, like the canvasy cover that comes on them, it looks like it's aftermarket,
right?
Not fit well. Like the problem is this car was like 12 years in the making.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Shut down with COVID, where they were going to wait to have their grand opening launch.
Right.
And then when they finally started rolling off the shelf, the advertised price on one of these was about, 29,000-30,000 American dollars, which, puts you in the same ballpark as a Wrangler. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like, go on Auto Trader, find where you can get one for under about $90,000.
Right.
Like if you want anything on them, like you're getting that $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 real quick for a $35,000-$40,000 car.
Yeah. It's not worth it. No. In fact, right now, buying a car just does not make sense unless you know someone,
Right.
Well,
it is.
You're like 4,000 or 5,000 overpriced. It just doesn't make any sense. The economy right now is making like all the used cars overpriced because you can't get a new car. Like I had a friend, I've talked about this a couple times. I have a friend that just she lowered her Jeep expectations because she couldn't get the Jeep she wanted. And she ended up just, I've been waiting 2 years now. I'm just going to get a Jeep. So she did end up getting a Jeep. She just didn't get everything she wanted on it.
Yeah.
Which is a disappointment for her. But then again, now she's selling her used Jeep, which is not worth what she's selling it for, but she's going to get it because there are none out there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a problem, right? So people that don't know, the reason why there's been such a shortage of new car manufacturing, it goes back to supply chain issues. And this goes back to a lot of the stuff that I've talked about in earlier episodes is, if you have a microchip, a computer chip that controls a window, controls a something.
So in this case, it was a computer chip that controlled their automatic roof. So they instead of where you'd have to take off a roof and put a roof back on, this one was like a push button. You push the button and the roof just folds right back. Well, you couldn't get it because the chip that runs that was not available. So that was the case in hers. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't sell that car.
No.
Right. So that's the big problem with so many different companies. And like, I know, for instance, like Toyota as a brand here locally, I know that they're struggling in a huge way to try to get cars.
Their lot is empty, right?
Their lot is absolutely empty. They have one version of each car, and that's what they're selling off of. Yeah. When cars roll in, they're just gone. Like they're so far behind. But that gives them what's called pricing power, right? They're able to run up the price of the vehicles. Well, are you going to go in and offer them less than sticker when the guy behind you is like, I need a car tomorrow? Like, what are you going to do? Get out of my way.
Well, that's kind of the situation I got in. My car fell apart, like literally. I'm not driving in another inch. And fortunately, I was able to get a car from a friend that really was a good person and helped me out.
Gentleman and a scholar, likely.
Gentleman and a scholar. He was a great guy. Now, it had all kinds of problems that I had to work
probably watching.
Yeah, he probably is watching. He's very close by. I had all kinds of problems I had to work through because it was really
he's a bit of a horse trader, though, too.
He was a horse trader. Yeah. It hurt a bit. So anyway, now it's all fixed. And so no, but that's just it. Like if you know someone or you know a woman from Pasadena that has a car that hasn't been driven anywhere, I can say that I'm that age.
Wow. Hey, what did I throw out the other day? What was it that I threw out? Who shot JR?
Oh yeah, who shot JR? That's right.
Yeah, that was good.
That was last week during. Yeah, if you haven't seen our lives, our other lives, Thursday night lives, this is a good segue into that. Last week we were with Mike, the travel guru, and the week before was good friend Mike, Reiki master. We talked about cars. We talked about this very thing about not being able to get parts and stuff because he's kind of in the manufacturing way. Next, this Thursday coming up at 9, we're going to talk to Denise, who is also a travel guru, and she does travel in a unique way that I think you're all going to be interested in. She is my sunshine every morning. Every morning she does posts on Instagram, and they're just inspirational. And I'm telling you, she's sunshine. I tell her that all the time. You're my sunshine. I wake up to her every morning, this beautiful post about life and etc. And I'm hoping very soon she's going to put a package of travel together for me. But anyway, Thursday, 9 p.m., be here, and we'll talk to this lovely young lady. You're going to fall in love with her. She has a wonderful accent and knows a lot about traveling and other things that are just beautiful. Anyway, that all being said, just last week with Mike, we were talking about that. We were talking about
supply chain, right? And what's going on with it and that sort of thing. So
yeah.
No, it's so again, the Thursday live, the plans are is to continue doing this. We've got a couple, we've got Denise obviously coming next week. Yep. We have
this week
an RN nurse that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got a
business owner.
A small business owner that is literally turned a taco truck into a $3 million a year business. Like, interesting people that
during COVID,
in our personal life, right? That we're
during COVID, she did that, right?
During COVID,
yeah.
Right?
At a time where businesses are failing, she's making
killing it, and
so she's going to be great to talk to.
Smart person and great person, and you liberals will get together and attack me, I'm sure. So
I can't wait. I can't wait to have an actual liberal on.
Right. Well, you saw the one the other day kind of turned into a conservative real quick.
Turned into a conservative right in front of my eyes. I had no idea.
It's good.
No idea. Just all of a sudden it was, I'm with a conservative. I don't know. It's
surrounded.
But yeah, no, it's some exciting stuff coming up. I really am starting to enjoy these lives, and we get some good conversations out. And so that's one of the things. Other than that, we've just been pumping out content, and Broncos suck.
I don't know why Ford. So Ford right now is going through a very weird transition from their ICE, so their internal combustion engine vehicles, into electric. And the Bronco, I thought, was supposed to be like a transitioner, that it was going to be this, really interesting vehicle that you start as a gas car, you come out in 2 or 3 years with a very killer electric option, and then run with it. And we're like 4 years removed from when they first announced that this thing was going to be what it is. Like, they came out with all the spec designs and that.
Oh my God.
10 years ago.
Told us it was going to be.
Yeah.
It
was pretty upsetting. And when you go back to like the Bronco, like everyone remembers OJ Simpson, right? So OJ Simpson had this white Bronco. And you got to remember, like, OJ was like the hottest celebrity at the time. It would be like your Range Rovers, Land Rovers today. Like, they were swanky, they were great, everything you could ask for in them. And then you get what you get now, and it's kind of like
it was like a big Escalade, really, the Bronco back then.
Right. Like it was the sexy vehicle.
Yeah, it was. But so it was a disappointment. But Jeep has come out with some really nice stuff. Like, they have a nice electric gas vehicle now that is doing really well. Like, you're not, I don't think they've transitioned into the fast charge yet. I think they're still with how they have the slow charge. You can charge them anywhere, though. Unlike Tesla, where you have to have a special adapter. I think Jeep has gone the way of, you can literally plug it in at your trailer if you want it, which they kind of have to, being a Jeep. But they're already ahead by leaps and bounds. Like, I just don't see Bronco catching up now, because they made a subpar vehicle. It's not as exciting as it should have been. I was really expecting more from it, but you know what? The thing is that there are a lot of them out there. So maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe they know something we don't know. And you and I wanted it for something else. Like, I wanted it to go off-roading and traveling and camping. And I really saw it as that kind of vehicle, because that's the way they kind of promoted it. And I think you were looking more of a sports vehicle to like pull boats and do stuff.
Pick up chicks.
Pick up chicks.
Not the answer we were expecting.
Not the answer I was expecting.
I was hoping to take my top off.
You're not wrong.
Topless.
You wanted to take your top off, and you wanted to announce it every time you did it on Instagram.
I'm topless.
I'm taking my top off. I am topless driving through.
But we meant the car, so it's not as bad.
It's not as bad. Although, no, I won't top.
Yeah. No, when I looked at these vehicles, I thought, okay, listen, they've got a towing capacity that's similar to a truck.
Yeah.
I hate driving a truck because, realistically, I don't throw drywall in my truck that often. I don't throw a lot of lumber in. It's not something that I need
It's like once a year, you and I have to like tear things down and move like large quantity of things. We can rent a truck for that.
Well, yeah, but I've got people.
Yeah.
Totally. Right. Like I make a phone call and I'm like, hey man.
Yeah. Go pick that up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like to me, it was just a bit of a misnomer. Like I drive a truck now. I think most of you have seen me live, kind of like that. And that's what I thought is that I'll replace this thing. But I just can't get my head around it. I can't pay $90,000 for this thing that is, I don't think it's as competitive as a Jeep, which a Jeep right now you can buy for 60.
Yeah.
And
I think the Jeep is bigger, parts, better pulling power. It's a hotter looking vehicle.
Yeah.
And also for me, like I think it would be way better off-roading. It's got better nav. Like, I don't know. I was just disappointed in it.
Yeah, Ford's interesting because they're really trying to take on an electrified model with like the Mach-E Mustang and all that sort of stuff. And then they jumped on with this. It really didn't fit. It didn't fit the brand that they're moving forward with right now. And I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with it. But it's
interesting to look at their stock and see what happened at the time of Bronco's launch to the time of now. See how it affected it. I bet it wasn't great. That would be my.
So Ford got a run up with. Hang on a second. Ford got a run up with. Let me pull it up here.
Was that when Joe Biden came in and said that Ford is the leader of electric cars?
Well, so there was post-COVID, during the first wave of everything being shut down, all these EV, so electronic vehicle plays, just took off because there was so much free money that was out there in the market. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, they were also feeding money into businesses. Businesses could get free COVID money too, and did, and rich people did. Like there's rich people who said, "Oh yeah, I got COVID money. Why wouldn't you?"
100%.
Right? I did not.
There.
Unfortunately.
Well, here, let me throw this up here, and we'll take a look at the.
I was just wondering.
Whoop! I'm getting all the emails today.
That's because they love you. Yeah. If you're watching right now, throw us a message. Tell us you're there. If you're not watching, well, you know.
Fuck off.
What did you say?
No, nothing.
You should see my my Father's Day video. I did a lot of swearing in that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, if you guys get a chance, go watch my Father's Day video. I was kind of harsh on people.
Were you?
Deserved it. Oh yeah.
Did I not get to see that part?
No, I don't think you watched it.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, here's Ford. 5 years. Right. So Ford is trending down.
Yeah.
Let's go back here to 18. Ford is trending down. This is a high. So this is a lower high. Here, we'll a little bit. Right. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Okay. This is COVID. And then Ford takes off. Well, why does Ford take off? Well, this is when they come out and there's so much money in the market that people are saying, hey, we feel like there's an opportunity here, right? So Ford's going to end up eating some of this Tesla-esque market.
Extra money,
right? Well, it's funny. The best way I heard this put, and I know that you and I have been talking a little bit lately and with some of our guests about, what's next in the world. And I've kind of had this like a little bit of a Chicken Little type mentality going on. And a lot of this is because we've just finished an era of very cheap cash.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So you had these baby boomers who are now retiring, who for the last 10 years have been preparing for their retirement.
Yeah, totally. So they had the disposable money, right?
So disposable money, but they were also looking to get every last cent of their investment dollar. So when they're getting to the point where they're close to their last 2, 3, 4 years of retirement, they're squeezing every single percent return out of their investments.
Right.
Okay. Well, 2022 and 2023 kind of signal the end of the baby boomer generation into retirement at 65.
Right.
Okay. So what you have is you have all of these people that as soon as they retire, they're not putting money back into the markets to squeeze out that last little bit of return. No, they go to cash and they go to bonds.
Yeah.
Very safe investments.
Yeah. Well, once you get to a certain age, you can't afford to take those kind of risks anymore because you don't have the long game anymore. Like you, if you're young, have the long game. You're good. But the closer I get to the end, I realize how much little time I got left.
Right. And that's where we're seeing right now, where a company like Ford squeezed that. Like Ford's a pretty long-term name, right?
Yeah. Oh.
So if you were to say Ford Motor Company 20 years ago, people are like, my daddy owned Ford and I'll own Ford and my great grandkids will own Ford. Sure. Very structured, very stable investment, right?
Model T. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's just they've been along and around for forever. They keep reiterating to keep relevant, right? Ford, I'm pretty sure Ford took a very big bailout when they went through everything.
Pretty sure.
Dodge, I think, was the only Dodge. Chrysler was one of the only ones that didn't end up taking a big chunk. But that's a pretty stable name in most psyches, right? So when all of a sudden you're pivoting and every electronic vehicle company out there in the world was making money, making money is a loose term, is that they were creating market value in the stock market because look at Tesla. Yeah. They're going to be the next Tesla. Right. Well, all of a sudden Ford now is going to be the next Tesla. They're not.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
They're not a chance.
They're so far behind it.
Right. Yeah. But everyone goes in and goes, okay, so Tesla is a little nothing company and went to almost $1 trillion.
Right.
What could a behemoth like Ford do if they get their shit right?
Right.
So people are like, file in, and everyone's trying to squeeze that baby boomer generation with their psyche of, Ford is squeezing every last dollar out of that cap rate, right? Well, when we look back at that, they crash, right? Like they just get absolutely smucked. And
when did the Bronco come out?
Well, it was announced 10 years ago.
Yeah, but no, when they were actually came out.
It was this time last year. So they were supposed to be 2020.
Yeah.
In literally March. Then COVID hit and they canceled everything.
That's right.
And then they took a year and a half, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think
you couldn't get them either. When they launched them, you couldn't get them.
No.
They launched them and had none. It was
Zero.
the funniest thing ever. There was one Bronco at each dealership.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2021, they started to rise. But you're saying that's because of the baby boomers were still putting money into the old Ford thinking.
Well, it was just everybody was putting money into everything.
Yeah.
Market was positive, right?
Oh, totally. I was making money back then, like lots of money.
Right. So now what we're going through, and this is what, for those that have been watching this is why I get kind of that spidey sense about where we are in the world right now is because those guys are gone. They ain't coming back to the market.
They're not putting their money back in.
No,
the money's gone.
So they're gone.
Like when you're at the poker table and the guy with the tin hat there, he takes all the money and then he gets up and leaves the table.
Right. That money is now off.
It's gone. So your money that you put on the table, gone because that guy took it.
So generationally, we don't have the Gen X, which you are.
Yeah.
You guys don't have enough money yet. You guys don't have enough influence yet to come into that.
There's not enough of us.
There's not enough. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
There's not enough.
Even though we're coming into that right now, I have more disposable income because my kids are doing their own thing. And I'm within that retirement age. So I'm starting to look at money. I'm still putting money in the market, but I don't have.
There's not you have
enough of it.
Your siblings.
Yeah.
Right. You have one.
He ain't going in the market.
How many brothers and sisters did your mom and dad have?
One. Oh, my brothers. Oh, so my mom had 2 brothers, 1 sister. My dad had a plethora. I think it was 6 in total.
Right. So 4 and 6.
Yeah.
For the generational wealth transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents, when they passed away, they had 2.
Yeah.
Right. How many does your brother have?
So he has 3, but it's because he had twins the second time.
Right. So okay.
He was planning on having 2, just like me.
But so he replaced himself.
Yeah.
His wife.
Yeah.
And then they replaced a dog.
That's dog.
No, but that's what we're barely replacing ourselves.
We're not replacing our population, which is why immigration is so important, because in order to sustain what we're trying to do in Canada and the States, we need people. We need work people to
so
come.
I agree.
Jobs, those construction jobs and those worker jobs that we're not doing, because all our kids, like my kids, they're all university. Like they're all like moving on to like brain jobs, because we were convinced, like my generation was convinced, the only way through life is university, right? Which isn't true. Like it's not true.
No.
Like you can have a very successful life, make a ton of money, like way more money by not going to university. You pick a nice trade, you go into HVAC repair, you're going to make more money than you would going to university. Now, my son is a little different, and so is my daughter, but not everyone. Like if you go into, say, a philosophy, like unless you're going to be a teacher, there's only many teachers in the world. There's only so many teaching jobs. So unless you're going into like something like computers or something like that, you're not going to get a job when you leave. And then you have all that debt and you're going nowhere. But if you were to like move into like some sort of physical field where you're learning how to build or design or something tangible that you can touch, that's not necessarily a university course, you will succeed far greater in the new world. Because like you said, a lot of that manufacturing's got to come back. Right.
Yeah, that's the big kick right now, right? So the manufacturing jobs of the tiddly piddly dollar store stuff is gone.
Yeah.
We are going to begin focusing on commodity-based manufacturing. So we're going to manufacture things that are need-based. So things like 3D printing technologies are huge right now and coming up, right? So we're, instead of, and we talked with Mike a little bit about this, but like
excuse me.
I'll just wait.
Go ahead. We don't have a sneeze button.
Right. Come on, tech. StreamYard, get on this. So these 3D printed technologies it replaces just-in-time delivery for manufacturing with, I'll just print that off the end of the line, right?
Yeah.
We'll do that in-house, right?
So that only works though if you have the raw material to print.
Right.
If you don't have raw material to print, then it doesn't work. And also it's still lacking in like movable parts and adding like a motherboard. Like 3D printing isn't for everything, Well,
so that's where Nano Dimension is a company that I've talked about, I think once or twice here before, is that they are a fantastic new age kind of development that's coming out right now, pre-profit company that is actually computer 3D printing computer chips. So stem to stern, they're able to create and print computer chips during a 3D process. And the concept is that this technology will be revolutionary when we end up on Mars.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that you don't need massive raw inputs. The inputs are somewhat limited and you can pull out whatever you need. Like,
well, that's the whole thing. When you're in space, you don't know what you're going to need necessarily. So it'd be great if you screw up with raw materials and went, you know what, we need a widget.
Right.
So I get that. But no, I didn't realize that we are at the state where we can print out computer chips that work.
So the whole concept is that we have to go away from our supply chain overseas, right? Because it's broken down.
Right.
So how do you bring that back online? How do you bring it here? How do you decentralize it? Because everything we did was centralized around Asia.
Totally.
We need to de-amalgamate from the economic base that we are. And this is where it gets really scary, though. Like this is the hard part for me as someone who's watched globalization over my like lifespan, is that for the last 75 years after World War II, if you wanted to get in touch with a company in Greece and import one of their products, their commodity, their whatever, you get in touch with them, they'll ship it to a port. The port brings it to a port near you, and then you get it in your factory or in your store or in your whatever. Like that, the world has just accepted that that's a thing, right? And a lot of that is because the United States has basically said, listen, we're going to make sure that the shipping channels are open.
Yeah, right? We're going to make sure that all the runs back and forth will be free.
Right. We're going to make sure the Soviets don't bomb the shit out of Greek ships.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all falling apart.
So that small countries that are maybe lower income don't need a military to protect their ships moving services.
Right.
Right.
And that's a new concept. Like if you go 200 years ago, even 150 years ago, right? Go pre-World War I.
Yeah.
Countries didn't have like global supply chains.
No.
Because you didn't know when a Napoleon was coming.
Yeah. No, it was so the only global supply chains back then, if you're talking about way back then, would be Canada to Britain. And that's because the run from Canada to Britain was fairly safe because Britain had the biggest navy back then.
Right. But even it, right? So, okay, so let's call that a global supply chain.
Yeah.
We were them. We were a colony.
We were a colony of Britain. Yeah. No,
right.
Totally. So, but they were the first ones to kind of do it because they were taking resources from Africa. Right. They were taking resources from Canada, from the States even, and bringing it to a central location and building in Britain, right?
Well, so that's what has been, negatively called colonialism, right?
Yeah.
So colonization, colonialism, all of these things, right? Well, so the United States did the exact same thing. They just did it under the economic flag. So they did economic colonialism.
Yes.
Well, so now that's falling apart. And you look at the presidents go back to, H.W. Bush, like Herbert Walker Bush, the first Bush, before Clinton.
Bush original.
Bush won, right?
Yeah.
And he was isolationist. We don't want to deal with the other problems of the world because he had just saw the fall of the Soviet Union under Reagan, right? So we're going to kind of pull back. And then you had Clinton, and then you had Bush too, and then you had Obama, and then you had Trump, then you had COVID. And all of these now have made more and more isolationists of these countries. Right. So Canada, we're great. We're going to do well because we can grow food and we can grow our commodities and the things that
we have mining.
Things. Well, I don't know if we will. That's the scary part. The economic fallout of this is the scary part for me. Right? Like I'm very worried that we are in a precipice right now that you're going to see interest rates. So inflation is not what they're telling you it is.
No.
So inflation right now, they're saying is 8.6% in the States. They're saying that it's, a little bit lower than that here in Canada.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that Canada, they came out and said, Canada, we're making more money, therefore inflation is not a thing, I believe is what the last article you and I were sharing.
That's literally inflation.
Yeah.
But do you remember we had that kind of episode that I went through and I was talking about, like, these people are the professionals, like these are the pros.
Oh. Yeah, but then they come out
weeks,
months later and go, oh, you know what? I made an error. But it's all about keeping us docile and safe. Like it really is. A lot of the things, like I saw this through COVID. I saw this.
Whoa. You think that they're keeping us safe?
Docile and safe. So docile.
I say docile. I don't think safe.
Safe in the fact that we're not panicking. Because when a large group of people panic, it gets unsafe. So like if they had came out and said COVID is the worst thing in the world, millions are going to die, oh my god, batten down the hatches, everyone would have ran out and bought all the toilet paper there was to buy.
I agree.
Right? So that was just like a small example of that.
But my problem is
if they said it was worse than that, there would be no eggs, there'd be no nothing. Like everything would have been cleared out.
So if you're politically in line with the media that wants to have you politically aligned with them, then then their story checks out. But when you had somebody that was not politically aligned with you, they attacked them for not doing enough and not stoking safety, right? Like in Canada, the CBC put Trudeau out as he was a hero, that he was, being a level-headed and taking things slowly. He's an asshole. Yeah. But now in the States, Trump was saying, hey, folks, relax. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to handle this. And they're like, this asshole's not doing anything. It just depends on whatever their narrative was at the time.
So there are two different media. Like the American media and the Canadian media are vastly different. You got to admit that. So I wouldn't say that they're oranges and oranges. They're apples and oranges. But yeah, it did seem like Trudeau could do no wrong at a time that he was doing all wrong. Ford, like if we're going to compare apples and apples, Ford, on the other hand, was attacked quite often. And I'm not a conservative. I'm going to say that again, but I like Ford. I think he came out and Daddy Ford is what I like to call him, because he was our daddy. No, but he came out and he had a plan every time. I don't agree with all his plans, but he did have a plan. He kept everyone safe as he could. But he was doing things. Whereas maybe our other leader was at the cottage, I think maybe.
Right.
I believe he was at the cottage. And twice he had COVID. I don't know. Like most people only got it once, but our prime minister, who had 3 vaccines, got it twice. And both times when people wanted him to come out of his little room to talk to him.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah. Interesting. So I'm not
that is that we also had Bill C-11 that passed yesterday.
Yeah.
And this is scary, again, for all the same reasons, is that this now, under the charter that gives the CBC its doctrine and its mandate to operate, so the CRTC, which is the Canadian Radio Television Broadcasting System in Canada. So it basically says that if you are a radio station or you're a TV station, there has to be X number of content for
Canada content.
The Canadian content, therefore Canadian Act. That's the way it's been all bullshit sold.
That's the way it's been for years and years and years. Yeah.
Right. So now this is going on the internet. So
that's why we have a native channel and not native, indigenous. I'm not sure what the proper term is, but that's why we have an indigenous channel. That's why we have these, like a women's channel and a Canadian channel. That's why we have those channels. It's because of the work that they're doing. So I don't see it necessarily as a bad thing, but I can see someone who is into conspiracy theories being wigged out by it.
Well, now they're going to be able to control what you can search on for YouTube, for streaming sites, for all of that. So what you have is not Daddy Ford. You have now Daddy Trudeau, who's going to spoon feed you through an algorithm that these algorithms are what YouTube and Google and all things use anyways.
Google controls the algorithm, though, not Trump. Not Trudeau. But
that's the point. He does now.
You think he does? How is he going to control it? Like, explain that to me. Like, I know that a law just passed that they will be able to control content. I get that. But you're making a leap from that to all of a sudden they're going to censor whatever they want.
So if YouTube puts out a suggestion for you,
right,
it's based on previously viewed things that they think that you'll like. So the algorithm picks things up. Yeah. It takes.
I get a lot of motivational videos and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. So it'll feed you stuff that it'll around, right? Yeah. It'll also take your geographic location and it might give you local commercials. It could be local businesses. It could be all kinds of different things, right?
There's also videos that it says aren't available in your area. I've come across that.
Right.
Yeah.
So when this new program comes in, this is going to allow the CBC to come out and say, okay, this streamer, this person who has been putting out content, like a developer like us, who is Canadian, they need to get more playtime for somebody downtown Toronto.
Okay. Sign me up.
Well, no, okay. So, but from our perspective, as a developer, as a Canadian developer,
Yeah.
that's
It's amazing. No, I see what you're saying.
Except if you're not selling
So you're
something that
thinking
they don't want you to do.
right. So say you're Mr. Pillow, and
Right.
they decide you're too conservative. Your commercials may not be seen. That's what you're saying.
100%.
Right. So you're saying that there's going to be a program through that, like Cogeco is going to throw on a program on my computer
Nope.
to stop me from surfing? Like, how do you figure they're going to launch this huge program that's going to like shield all of Canada?
No. YouTube functions as a Canadian entity as well.
Sure.
Right. So YouTube itself is an American organization.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but
they also have YouTube Canada. Is that what you're trying to say?
Right.
Right.
So if you go on YouTube and you put in things, you'll see YouTube, and then there'll be a little CA in the bottom of it.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So they follow and they function under the laws of the Canadian government.
Okay.
Okay. That's why you're saying that there's content you don't see, that you don't get now.
Yeah.
Like you're being censored now.
Totally, you are. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you can go and get a VPN and you can scramble this, or how that works.
I don't know.
But my problem is, as like a normal fucking human being, the government has no right nor responsibility to tell me what I cannot watch. And especially after all the bullshit that they've pulled over the last little while in saying and has totally unraveled over the last about 72 hours about the trucker stuff. Right. Yes. They had all of this. They had the Ottawa police chief that resigned. Yeah. He stepped down. They've
proven that the money that was given to that online GoFundMe was all up and up. It was all hardworking Canadians that just supported it. There was no Russia money or whatever the hell they said it was, or like.
Well, that's what they came out and they spurred this. They spurred this hysteria of terrorism backing these truckers.
Yeah.
And everyone at the time with any sense of like normal frontal lobe capacity was like, you think Al-Qaeda is sending money to white truckers in Alberta?
But
you think
have to admit the leaders that were running it were offside.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
The leaders of the trucking insurrection, I think we're calling it, they were a little offside. Like they were like pretty far right.
Dude, you do not have to agree with them.
I don't. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that they don't have a right to protest. They absolutely 100% do. I don't believe they were spreading hate. I don't believe they were trying to hurt other people in a physical way. They were trying to have a protest. But I'm just saying that the leaders did not help the cause because of how far right they were.
But with all due respect, man, they took a cause that was I'll even use Trudeau's words, the fringe minority with unacceptable viewpoints, and they made it a national campaign. So while I disagree with some of the tactics, the viewpoint, the personalities that were involved with it, I 100% agree with their ability to do what they were doing. And it wasn't until Trudeau opened his stupid fucking mouth and came out there and was going, they shouldn't be doing this. And I'm like, where's my flag? Where's my flag?
You know what? I kind of felt the same way when he came out and said that they were like who they were and the spring group and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, like the moment he came and the martial law thing was what it was for me. Like it wasn't martial law. What was it called? It was basically martial law, but
he took an executive action.
That's what it was
against these people, which is unprecedented.
Yeah,
right.
For no reason.
No reason.
It wasn't.
But yet he's still our prime minister, and he's speaking it in the mouth.
He initiated the Emergency Act.
Yeah,
that's what it was. And it was unnecessary. And you know what? I don't agree. Like, I think we should have worn masks. I think it's kind of silly that they were doing that. I do kind of agree that they shouldn't have been forced to take the vaccine. That should have been a choice. But I don't agree with them not wearing masks. They should have worn masks. But anyway.
Does everybody now agree that they did?
Even if I don't agree, they have a right to protest. Because I have a right to protest. I should be allowed to go out there and protest. I don't want green Jello because I hate green Jello. It sucks. Have you had green Jello? It sucks. It's awful, especially with that hard whipped cream on top. It's awful. Anyway,
You abused as a child.
that was my green Jello. I know I'm just making a joke, but no. But you should be able to whatever you want as long as you're not infringing other people's rights, and they weren't. The worst that they were doing, and they were sanctioned for blowing the horns late at night. I believe they were fined for that, and they passed a law saying you couldn't blow horns after a certain time. I'm down with that.
And then did they stop?
They did. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
Right.
I have people who live in Ottawa that I know very well.
Yeah.
And some were very angry and some were very happy. So I really don't know. Apparently the horns did go all night and it was quite hard to get to work and all that stuff. But that's what
I'm sure that those truckers felt like it was really hard for them to get to work when they were
work at all
out of their vehicles and not being able to go to work anymore.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like
now they can't go to work because they can't afford to pump their gas into their car.
Right.
Can you imagine what a rig would cost?
Well, that's my point, is that these guys were the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
And we were like, it's going to be wildly, offensive next week when all these terrorists fly these Canadian flags around July 1st weekend. Right.
Well, I did hear a rumor that they're moving back to Ottawa on July 1st.
Like, why do we do it in February? Like, Black Lives Matter, for all the things that I just vehemently oppose them against. At least they know to do it in riot season. It's spring and summer, morons. Why are we doing it in February? We're standing there like parkas, like this, going, fuck you.
Let's go. It's go.
30. Ottawa, winter. No. Go burn it down in July. It's lovely.
Don't burn it down. Careful what you say, man. That's not
inciting violence now. C11.
People don't know you're joking.
C11. Yeah.
People don't know you're kidding. So don't say stuff like that. They don't know you yet. But anyway, yeah, no, I agree. I don't know why. Like summer and spring, those are the great protest seasons. Get out there.
Yeah.
Enjoy your freedom.
Right.
But no, I don't agree with what the truckers were spouting. I don't, but they have every right to protest. And Trudeau was celebrated for that. And I was disappointed that he was celebrated for that because that is a scary precedent. So if he doesn't agree, that's what it is right now. If the government in power doesn't agree with whatever you're protesting and you're a large group, they can just come in and take you away.
Well, that is, and like, okay, so I want you to have the exact same context around guns. This is why the Americans go, no.
Friends, what I mean, we've had this conversation, man. There were children there were women, there were elderly. Are you telling me that you think if the truckers all had guns, that would have been a good solution, a good
I'm saying that it would not have happened if they had guns.
If they had guns, it would have been an awful outcome.
No. I'm saying that it would not have.
You're saying that the police wouldn't have walked in. I think they would have walked in sooner.
Nope.
Because then it's dangerous.
So you wouldn't have needed, because there would have been no emergency action because they'd have guns. It's not a thing. They wouldn't do it.
I don't know. I think there would be more of an emergency reaction because they do have guns. Now you have.
Where do you see in the United States?
Capitol surrounded by in a group of trucks armed. You don't think that would go back?
You're not getting what I'm saying. I'm saying is that they wouldn't have gotten to the Capitol because the government, they themselves would have played their cards differently along the whole process.
That's what you saying that because they know that the truckers have guns, then the government.
The population. It's not about truckers.
No. I'm just using that analogy because that's where we were.
Yeah. No. Back up.
You're saying because of the population, but they did force vaccines. Biden
the Canadians did.
So did the states. Biden did come and say
no.
He did.
Who did?
He tracked it, but he did do it.
Who did?
Biden. Joe Biden
mandated forced vaccines.
He started to.
On who?
I don't remember.
No.
I'd have to look that up.
No.
I'm sure
all of them were overruled. There was no force.
No, but I'm saying he started to do it.
Right.
It isn't like he didn't do it. He did do it.
Yeah, but it never happened.
It doesn't matter. He still did do it. Your argument is they wouldn't even try.
Ours did roll out.
I know, but you're saying they wouldn't even. That's because the government works in the way that it did, and it works in a well. You know, it's how it's supposed to work. They talked about it, they debated, and they decided that it wasn't for America, right?
Your viewpoint is that the Canadian. Oh, you're saying the American government,
right? But the Canadian government, they debated, and they decided that it was a thing, and that healthcare workers and for some reason truckers, I didn't really get that, but healthcare workers were mandated. They didn't mandate the whole population, though. They just said you should get it.
Get on a plane. Get on a train.
I've already been on a plane many times, man. I don't know what you're talking about. I get on a plane all the time.
That's because you're vaccinated. That's what I'm saying to you, is that they did. The United States did not. The United States did not do
so
that.
You couldn't come to Canada if you weren't vaccinated. You couldn't go to the States if you weren't vaccinated. So I don't understand what the difference is.
As a Canadian, if you're not vaccinated, you can't go into the United States.
Right. As an American,
you can run around with your dick out and your shotgun going, fuck you, government. Right?
You can't come into Canada, though, if you weren't vaccinated.
No, but that's what I'm saying. As a Canadian, my government would not let me leave. But my government would not, the U.S. government would not let me.
I think now those sanctions have been lifted, but I'm pretty sure the American government wasn't allowing you to fly around either.
No, yeah, 100%.
You're saying they were allowed to fly into other
vaccine component. There was a mask component.
Yeah.
You had to wear a mask. And the Supreme Court, what?
But not a vaccine.
Not vaccine. The Supreme Court went and said, that's moronic. You can't force people to wear masks even because they have guns. They have guns.
It's because it's just argued in a different way.
No, it's because
people that agreed with the fact that there was no mask.
No, it's because the last 250 years, if you didn't like what happened, you vote out your sheriff, you vote out your judge, you vote out the people.
Sure.
You go along and you go, pardon?
It's not a thing, man.
Pardon. I'm telling you,
you
man.
have glorified the states in your mind. No, maybe in small sectors of the states. I don't think that was a factor. I think the factor was that there was just a larger group of people who did.
It's the second thing they wrote on the sheet of paper when they made the country. They're like,
Canada,
really?
In Canada,
they're like, fuck you, ammo.
As a country, actually thought masks were a good thing. Like the majority of the country thought masks were a good thing. The majority of the states did not. That's the only difference. And the majority of the states, our whole Atlantic formed a bubble that no one could come in or out of. That's how much we in Canada wanted this stuff. We're just a different nation. Had nothing to do with guns. We were just pro-mask. We were making good choices to keep people alive.
If you were to do a straw poll around you, anyone who's watching,
okay,
if you were to do a straw
you're out there right now and you ever get to see this.
Right. Your straw poll around your friends, family, loved ones, all that sort of thing.
Sure.
If you were to make a list of 3 reasons why they got vaccine, right? Probably not even on the 3 was their fear of COVID.
Oh, no, they would be. Yeah.
No.
Really. I could go to work tomorrow and I could find 20 people that would say the top 2, the fear of COVID.
First one is?
I want to travel.
Bingo. How fucking fearful could you be if your biggest thing is, no, I want to travel?
Yeah, I know. Okay, so you got me there. The first one was I wanted to travel. Absolutely.
So if you got a gun and your government fears that you as the people will eventually come along and go,
disagree.
You're not gonna what? No,
I disagree.
It's why it was done. We can disagree on why you like whether AK-47s or AR-15s are killing kids in school, right, wrong, or indifferent, right?
Do you know what? Sorry, this was totally off topic. Oh my god, okay. I want you to picture this. This was on TikTok and it kind of blew my mind. So
you are the TikTok demographic, by the way.
I am the TikTok demographic because that's what happens. So Facebook was like my kids' generation, and then we took it over, and then it stopped being cool.
Yeah, you guys fuck everything up for everybody.
They moved to Snapchat and TikTok, and now we're moving to Snapchat and TikTok and ruining it for everybody.
Right.
We do that, and that's okay. That's our generation. Generation X just follows along and goes, hey, I like this and this. I'm going to take it. And then we make it better. Anyway, so stick with me for this thing, okay?
I'm with you.
So this guy goes, and it's not my theory. This is just something that blew my mind. So right now, even in the Canadian schools and in the American schools, we run drills for active shooters, right? We run drills. Okay. Who runs the drill? Who's in the drills?
Like, are you talking about like in the schools?
Yeah,
you got the teachers, you got the students, you got the
right. So it's the students. The students are in the schools. They're told what to do, step by step, what to do.
Yep.
Who is normally the person in the States that comes in with a gun?
One of the students.
So literally, we're teaching the killer what system we're using, and telling them, like, giving them a floor plan. We're going to move all the students to this spot.
Yep.
We're teaching them that.
Yep.
These doors will be open. These doors will be locked. If you do this, this won't happen. Like, we're literally training these people. Isn't that weird?
Well, okay.
Whoa.
So I've done active shooter scenarios, active shooter training. We did all this simulation stuff. So we would go through schools and we would train this way, right?
Yeah.
So the concept behind why you do it is not for the kids. And I know that your viewpoint, and I get it completely, is that you're teaching and showing the children where they're going to be and that sort of thing. When they do those lockdowns, they are for the teachers.
Yes.
So that the teachers don't, well, so that it's repetitive, right? Muscle memory. I'm going, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do.
Totally.
So
it gives them something to do instead of running out into the hallways going
screaming. Right.
Yeah, which is way more dangerous. And the fire alarm goes off. You don't leave the building unless you smell smoke or see fire.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we would go through those schools, and they'd have the dogs, they'd have all this stuff, and we would go. It's really kind of a cool thing. If you ever get a chance to look it up, it's called simunition. So it's like a paintball on the end of a live bulleted round. So you use your same weapon. So we used the C8 at the time, and so that's like the long rifle that we used, and then we had a 40 cal handgun that we would go through the school with, right? So like the 40 cal handgun, anything longer than about like 20 yards, you may as well throw your fucking handgun at them, because they're not, handguns are very hard to aim with.
Sure.
C8, you could hit a tennis ball from 100 yards away. Like, they're just spot on.
Sure.
Lots of ammo downrange. Like, you can shoot pretty well.
Right.
The problem is that in close contact, when you get into a scenario like that, and I know that they're going through this with the Texas shooting right now, is that everything around active shooter is go and engage the active shooter.
That's right. That's what they're saying. You like throw things at them.
Anything you can do.
Getting close.
Right. So the problem was out of Texas, and we've kind of like sidebarred this a bit. Out of Texas,
we started at Broncos, so let me tell you.
Yeah. We're a long way.
It's full circle.
The problem with Texas is that they were saying, like, there's a lot of flack that's being thrown at these police officers because of how they
were standing outside. Yeah.
They were standing outside, and they set up a perimeter inside the hallway while the shooter was in a classroom shooting kids.
Right. That's right.
That's a problem.
Whereas a guy across the street who was a husband of a teacher, cruised in and took care of the situation. That's the story I got.
So he was a border patrol officer.
Yeah.
And so he ended up taking a shot to the side of the head, grazed bullet from the active shooter. But when we go through in the training scenarios that I've done, when we go into an active shooter scenario, you roll through as fast as you possibly can.
Right.
What you're doing is you're depending.
I just want to pause for a second, because I was talking about kids in the building,
right?
Training. You're talking about no kids in the building.
No,
you're doing police training.
So both.
Okay.
So both. Like when you go like St. Pete's High School, I don't think they do it in the elementary schools, Like, so we did it at so I was in Wellington County, so like Guelph, Ontario.
Right.
So when we would go through the high schools. We didn't go through the elementary schools because the way we looked at it is that that's pretty traumatic for a 6-year-old, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But we came flying through high schools, and it was real. We treated it as it was real.
Right.
And
each room as you go.
clearing rooms, come in, okay, out. You're clearing rooms as you go, right? So, anyways, long story short, but our goal, it was not about the kids at all. It was 100% teachers. And the reason why we focus so much on teacher education was that the teachers are going to be there for the next 40 years of their career.
Yes.
The odds of that student ever being involved in a situation is
got a 5-year.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we do is we would focus on the teachers. This is your job. This is your mandate. This is what you have to do. Boom, 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 boom. But you're 100% right. Like when you're going in and you're doing these things, I hate to say it, but you could go online right now and you could look up the OPB active shooter handbook. Like it's not rocket science.
No.
So that's a very interesting concept. The way that that guy put that is that
the guy just put it out there, and I'm like, oh my god, like that's totally true. Like we are literally, because I'm not talking about like the crazy dude that has gone in and done that. I'm talking about the kids that unfortunately, and I'm telling you right now, if we raised our mental health and we caught these kids that are falling, and we found those kids, and we could change the world. That's where we stop it. Right there. That's where we stop the killings.
I don't disagree with you, man. I think that it's not like mental health starts at home, right? So like, again, we just went through Father's Day here.
No, but it doesn't, because I'm telling you right now, the way the home unit works right now, mental health can't start at home. It's too unpredictable. There are too many different kinds of styles of homes. There's too many, both parents are out working because they're trying to scrape by. No one's home when the kid gets home. The kid gets home to another kid, and his advice is coming from the internet. It's coming from another kid, Billy, like I was pushed around. What should I do? It's coming from the internet. It's not coming from parents anymore. Like when you and I were kids, our parents were there.
But why is that acceptable?
It's not.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So that
how people need to survive right now.
Right.
How people make money.
So how do we do that?
So we have better systems inside the school that catch these kids. Like there are a lot.
We disagree fundamentally. Like I think you're a fantastic person. I love you to death. I think of you as a brother. Yes. But we have very fundamentally different views of what government is.
Right one and the wrong.
I do not believe the school should instruct me or my child on moral things. It's not their job.
Not moral. Psychology is not moral. Mental health is not moral. That's not morality. That's catching someone who is at their lowest. That you still need parental permission to do this stuff. You can't just pick up a kid and start psychoanalyzing them or force them to go to counseling. That's not how counseling works in a school. You can't do that. You have to have parental permission. But if I, God forbid, being in a system, sent you a letter and said, hey, we've noticed that your daughter has dropped out of rugby and isn't doing so well in school and is getting upset really frequently, and we'd like
black guy, maybe
that's a black guy, does have a black guy, on Father's Day even. So all of that is happening. We strongly recommend that we get some counseling. This is the counselor. They're going to start coming to talk to her and see her, and we catch that child.
Catch them for what?
Catch them. We catch them from falling into a pit of despair because no one's paying attention to them. No one.
But what is the seed of the despair? Like, this is where I'm saying is that the seed of despair is not at the school.
But it is at the school. That's where you see it. You see it all the time at the school. You're not going to catch it at home because she's in her room. Not you, other people.
No.
Because I know you would catch it. I know totally you would catch it right away. I'm not talking about you, Ahern. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the group of people that their kids are at home, right? They're not being supervised once they get home.
But I'm saying that's the problem.
You're right. It is the problem, but it's not.
So when
How
a
do you change
counselor
that? That's
picks
a
up Helen,
financial
picks
problem.
up little Johnny and Helen, and they say, "Hey, what's the problem?" And then you go back to the parents and you go, "You're an asshole." And then they go,
But that's not the
"Okay."
problem. That's just another symptom. The problem is their mental health is imbalanced, and you need to figure out why. It could be multitude of reasons. It could be chemical. It could be something that's happening at school. It could be anything. It could be going through the change. It could be a fight with a boyfriend. It could be something long term. It could be something small term. It can be anxiety. There's so many things it could be. And for you to say that just going and saying, okay, you have to make sure that you're home for your child, that's not going to be a thing.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is that's where there's the old adage of charity starts at home.
Sure.
Right? And
I agree.
if you're going to raise your children,
Yeah.
and they're not like the concept of child rearing, and hell, we've talked about this in great length, is that you want to put your child in the best light to do better than you did.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
That is mentally, that's financially, that's emotionally,
absolutely. I 100% agree with you, man.
All of it. Okay.
Yeah.
There's about 20% of the population that get that.
Yes. And you know what? There is workarounds for all of this. You know, my kids had someone home because the wife worked. I worked during the day. The wife worked at night. So there was always someone home. There was someone home in the morning. There was someone home at night because we designed it that way. We didn't have a very good relationship because of it, but we designed it that way, right? Yeah. You can work around it. Both of us had jobs. Both of us were making money. We just, you know, I worked on weekends. She didn't. So there was always someone there.
So what does a counselor do now? So a counselor comes and says,
so a counselor is for the other stuff, because that's not the only problem. The problem is that, so what I'm saying is that when they get home, there's no one there. So there's no one there. So they seek answers on the internet, or they seek answers on Facebook, or God forbid, whatever's happening at school continues at home because they're on Snapchat or they're on TikTok and they're ridiculed, because that's what happens. And so there's no one helping them because no one sees it. You're not seeing it at home because they're in their room. There's no one for them to talk to till, like, you know, mom gets home from work at 10 o'clock.
I'm hearing you, man. I'm with you 100%. I'm with you.
There was a group at the school that could catch that.
So catch it, but then what? What do you do? So you caught it.
Then you have a caring adult have a conversation with them each week. And we put money into the mental health so that it can happen each week instead of at random, because now it happens at random. You never know when a counselor's coming, right? It's more random because there's not enough of them. It's such a widespread thing, and mental health is just getting worse, not better.
Okay, so I'm gonna go on your train of thought here. So the school identifies Timmy, and Timmy. No, I'm not agreeing. I'm going down your train of thought here. So Timmy is identified as a suspect child.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he stopped doing music because he really loved music, and now all of a sudden he's not doing music.
Okay. Suspect child.
Yeah.
So your thing is that Mr. Smith comes in and takes Timmy and says, "Hey, everything going well, pal?"
So what would happen is a letter would go home to the parents saying that we've noticed this is happening.
Okay.
Right. And we'd like to make a plan to see if there's anything further that we need to talk about. Right.
So in your professional opinion,
yeah,
how many of those letters get returned positive?
There would be half. Right. Okay. Half of them would be, you don't get to tell me what my child does, blah, okay. blah, blah, blah. But okay. If you save one, that's always been my motto. Let's do it. So, guy on the beach. Let's say a little girl's on the beach. A little girl's on the beach and it's covered in starfish. There's starfish for all the eye can see in both directions on the beach. And there's an old man walking along the beach, and he sees this little girl, and she's grabbing starfish, and she throws it in the water, and then a wave comes in and 30 more starfish land on the beach. And so she goes and she grabs another starfish and she throws it back in. And the old man finally comes up and goes, "Little girl, you're wasting your time. You're making no difference at all. Look at that. Every time you throw one in, 30 came in, come back in." And she grabs a starfish and throws it in the water and goes, "I made a difference to that one." And that's my motto in life. So you're saying that we're not going to say help people. We're going to help one person. We catch Jimmy. That's awesome. That's all I need. Catch Jimmy, catch Johnny. But the more we put into mental health, the more we add bodies, the more adults that are trained to deal with mental health and to actually see, the more we'll catch these children before they become an issue. And I'm telling you right now, later on when they leave high school, they'll have a better, you know how we always talk about the in out? They would have a better self. Imagine kids coming out with a better self than they are now, where they didn't have to have the outward likes because they love themselves. That's what I'm trying to create. That's what I'm saying.
The problems that we have, I believe, are very artificial in nature. And if we'd go back to nuclear family, and if we were going to go back to traditional values, and we were going to go back to certain things, where your cell phone isn't raising your children, that is an in-home choice that the family needs to make, where a counselor can never touch, feel, or do that.
A counselor cannot change what's happening.
But a question though, I know that when you first started your starfish story there, you changed from a little boy to a little girl. Were you the little girl?
I was the little girl. I'm the starfish catcher.
I like it. No, man, I don't think you're wrong. I think it's just that like the government is not in the position to make choices or position for ones. They are in the position for hundreds of thousands.
Exactly.
So that's it. End of conversation.
But the whole point is that so you try for 100,000, you get 20,000. That's still a win. But I agree with you. If we could totally back it all off and go, okay, we're going to pay a livable income, so we can go back to one income earners. And someone can stay at home, dad or mom. I'm in. Sign me up.
Who's paying? Sorry, you said something great there, but who's paying it?
Oh, I don't know who's going to pay it. It's impossible. We can't go back to that because we screwed that up.
You can. And this is the crazy part that I'm very worried about, though, is that you can. I do it, right? So I do it off a one income situation, and
But you have multiple streams of income, and you're unusual.
I'm autistic, I think, too, but
a little bit.
That's a lot about it. No, but
but you have multiple streams. You can't. It's like comparing. It's not the same when someone's like working at Walmart or working at Wendy's or you're in a high.
But so that's the liberal argument. The liberal argument is that you have to have a livable wage for minimum wage employees, and you go, no, you need a minimum wage. The livable wage is when you take that skill set that you learned at your minimum wage job and you apply it to nuclear fission. You go to I just went to the spectrum. I went as far as I could on the spectrum. But okay, so think about that for a second. Tim flipping burgers, and then now he's it's Homer.
Ridiculous business because you learn.
That's funny.
Now flipping burgers.
That's funny.
Oh my God! If you put two patties together, they explode. Boom! Physics.
Fusion.
I'm in.
It's free energy forever, right? Forever. That's funny shit.
That's funny. Pretty good. I liked it. It was very good. I think we're getting tired.
Comedy is so wasted.
Anyway,
but that's the thing. So if you can put yourself in a position where a livable wage is not provided by the government, I see these signs all the time where people are what's the exact verbiage? Guaranteed income.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's just welfare, folks. You want to talk about inflation? You give everybody guaranteed living wages.
We just did an experiment of that.
And how'd it go?
It didn't go well. It didn't go well at all.
It's because everything gets expensive.
I was all for I knew I would never see it and you would never see it, but I was all for because they were talking what it is guaranteed wage. The government would give you so much on top of your wage, right? So it might be $1,000 a month or something like that. I don't think it was that high, but and I was all for it. I thought it was a good idea. The poorer communities would get that extra money and they would have a livable wage because of it. But then COVID happened and we gave out free money. And what happened is people stopped working and still aren't working. And kind of interesting. So when I was growing up, my dad, so I always talk about how the work ethic my dad gave me. And he always talked about you don't want a gap in your resume. Doesn't matter what you're working at. Don't have any gaps. You don't want a month where it doesn't say you work somewhere. So never leave a job until you have a job, because employers, I assume they still look at it that way. Employers will look at you. So we have a whole workforce now that hasn't worked in 2 years. And then we have people who worked for, didn't work for 6 months, but then they got a job and worked. So now you have the person that hasn't worked for 2 years and the person who didn't work for 6 months. Who are you hiring?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we have a big group of people that, well, why didn't you work for 2 years?
Yeah.
It's going to be just way harder to get a job. Yeah. It's going to be way harder to, because unfortunately, that amount of money that they were giving is more than minimum wage.
Oh, that was the whole concept of it.
They're making more.
Using their minds. You need to pay these people. And when I have had intellectual conversations with people about it, they go, well, robotics and computer technology is changing the way that our employment is going to go. And I go, right.
So we have to change to fit that. We have to find the next thing that we need to do.
Blacksmiths went through a real bitch of a time when the Model T came out.
That's right. Yeah. Factory work.
But
too.
You get what I mean? Like
tractors, we went from 30, 40 people working the land to like one person in a tractor. Right. Same kind of thing. That's why people move to the cities and stuff. You have to pivot and you have to change. And that's a liberal concept too. That's no different. But what I am saying is that we just went through a free money and we proved it didn't work. One, it really hurt our economy. Oh my God, it hurt our economy so bad. And two, I met quite a few people who could have been working that, or even worse, were working and took the money.
Yeah.
Because the way they work was under the table. That phenomenal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, don't buy a Bronco.
Don't buy a Bronco. O.J. Simpson, we don't know if he did it. Apparently the glove did not fit, so they had to
acquit.
Right? And school shootings are bad.
Well,
we both agree with that.
I knew a few kids back in the day.
Liberals are awesome.
We
both love liberals. Liberals are great.
Something like that.
Go liberals. And we both strongly believe in the Canadian flag. So I will, on July 1st, be toting the Canadian flag because I'm very proud of my country.
I'm kind of quasi hoping that I'm going to be able to get out on the boat for the long weekend.
Oh,
I was thinking of actually getting a pole with the flag on the back. And then I thought, I'm a terrorist already, so what would it matter?
You could get a We the People flag too.
Nah, see, I don't do that stuff. I don't need to do that stuff.
No,
that one flag
covers everything. No, I agree. Yeah.
So I think that's where we need some politicians to get their head out of their butts and be like, you know what? That flag stands for freedom.
I was that is something that came out that they were actually stopping people from walking around with the Canadian flag.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. That's our flag.
Well, it's all of my terrorist buddies out there for July 1st. I'm sure we'll talk before then, but.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Yeah. In fact, we're going to talk Thursday with Denise, lovely girl, Sunshine. You just wait till you meet her, Pat. Sunshine. She's amazing.
On a rainy day.
Sunshine on any day. It's great. Intercompass Travel is her business, and she's lovely. I'm looking forward to it. 9 p.m.
And sorry, her first name again is
Denise.
Very excited to meet Denise.
Intercompass Travel. You can find her on Instagram
at Denise at Instant.
Sorry. Travel. Yeah. We'll throw up all the links and stuff on Thursday there. Our tech guy. We might even show a video that has nothing to do with.
If any of you saw the last week, I'm blaming James. He let me touch things.
Yep, I let you do tech. That's what the problem was. So yeah, it'll be a random video about, I don't know, food or something.
I'm gonna put ducks on.
Open ducks on. Anyway, man.
All right, folks. Well, we've had about enough. I'm tired.
This brother.
There's floating into Acropolis, I think. Is that the Acropolis or what is that?
Oh, that's the moon, I think.
No.
Oh, you mean the building behind me?
I'm pulling teeth with this guy.
I know, right? That's liberals.
Good thing you're handsome.
I thought you were talking about the moon. That's what my hair is.
No. The building around it. Is that the Acropolis or is that the?
I think it's Athens. That's all I know. I don't know. You know.
Eh.
If you drop it down,
Mount Olympus, is that?
No, it's not Mount Olympus. No.
I don't know. The Acropolis. I know Mount Olympus was like a fictitious thing.
Yeah, this is a real place, and I believe you're probably right.
I'm trying to Mount. Hang on. I'm gonna look at
I think it used to be the Colosseum.
Hang on.
Yeah.
The crop.
What are we hanging on to?
You're gonna do. Yeah, it's the Acropolis.
Yeah. Which was part of the Colosseum.
And now I can show this, and I can say to people, "Boop,
boop."
Yeah.
You can say to people, "Boop." Is that like a quote?
That will be a quote, sir.
Gosh, we have a lot of fun. I know you and I have fun. I don't know if anyone else does, but you and I have just a great time.
That is the Acropolis of Athens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that that's what that is, right? You're like right here.
Look behind my head right now.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that like I would say that photo is this way, like the camera's this way.
A long way. Yeah.
Right. And then,
well,
welcome to Athens, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I picked it because I want to travel there one day. Yeah. I'd also like to go to Rome.
Moon?
The moon. I want to travel to the moon. No, Athens would be nice. I'd also like to go to Lebanon someday.
Is that because you're Lebanese?
That is because I am Lebanese. In fact, I am. Apparently, I don't. My family owns land in Lebanon. My dad had a piece of paper that said he owned land. My brother has it now. But
okay, so who was it you guys were at war with? Was it Macedonia?
We were at war with ourselves the last time I heard.
Yeah,
but I don't know I don't know the history of Lebanon.
Because I think there was like Lebanon, Macedonia, the Greeks, like the Lebanese, the Macedonian. Like there was terrible war.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go back. Maybe I'll look that up for our next little cut.
Yeah, go ahead. You can tell me about my history because I really don't know. I've been pulled away from it.
So is that? Hang on, let me look at it. Is it LGBTQ? What? Sorry.
Lebanese.
Oh.
Leba. Yeah. Kubi and cabbage rolls.
Yeah.
Cabbage rolls wrapped in grape leaves. Yum. So delicious. Anyway, we're getting off topic again, and it is really late, so I'm going to go. You are a delight. I encourage you to look at my Father's Day video. I think it was really good. It came in hard. Also, today I did a little depression kind of anxiety video, what that's like. And coming up Thursday, 9 p.m. our live Soaring Profits Around the Dinner Table live. It's coming up. It's on YouTube. That's where it comes up. And I want to figure out how to share it to other platforms, but we haven't done that yet. Spotify is still a thing, but we're working on the legal side of Spotify. We're trying to find a platform that we don't lose the rights to it. So that's where we're at with Spotify. Our business guy is looking into that as we speak, Pat. And that's where we're at. That's all our updates. So let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls together.
What he said.
Yeah, I don't like saluting because I'm not in the military. Never was.
It's a nice touch.
I don't.
It's got like a sentimental thing for me, so that's why I do.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Folks, thank you again, as always. An hour and 23 minutes of time well wasted. Time totally well wasted.
Yeah, come watch us. You never know what we're going to talk about, and we'd love you to call us.
You never know where we're going to run down to. So
we don't even know. That's the beautiful thing.
That's it. Thanks again, folks. As always, Patrick and James, Soaring Profits. Like, subscribe, and share, and we'll chat with you again soon. Probably, maybe been filming something else here in the next 10 minutes, but we'll have smaller. Yeah,
it'll be cartoons.
Right. Thanks, folks. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.